My mother-in-law threw a tissue in my face and ordered, "Wipe my shoes!" in front of hundreds of guests. I knelt down and did exactly as she demanded. Everyone thought I would cry or run away, but they were wrong, because in my handbag were secret documents that could turn this entire family upside down. The cruel mother-in-law thought she had humiliated me, but little did she know, that was the moment I struck back. What will happen when a pregnant woman, scorned and underestimated, decides to wage war against a powerful family? The outcome will leave you speechless. And before we continue, write in the comments from which country you're watching the video, and also check if you're subscribed to the channel, as I share interesting life stories with you every day. Okay, let's enjoy the story. Sophia looked in the mirror. The white dress fit perfectly, accentuating her slender figure. Today was a special day, the day of her wedding to Ryan. She smiled at her reflection, trying to push away the slight anxiety lurking deep inside. Ryan was her love, her dream. She believed a happy life together awaited them. But from the very beginning, their relationship had been overshadowed by one circumstance: his mother, Eleanor Brooks. Eleanor was a domineering and tyrannical woman, accustomed to controlling everything. She had built a successful business and was used to everyone submitting to her will. Sophia had displeased Eleanor from the start. She saw her as a gold digger, someone wanting to exploit her family's wealth. Eleanor didn't hesitate to show her contempt for Sophia. She constantly made snide remarks about her modest background, her clothes, her manners. "You're no match for my son," she often said, not hiding her dissatisfaction. Sophia tried to ignore her mother-in-law's barbs. She loved Ryan and hoped that over time, Eleanor would change her opinion of her. But Ryan, unfortunately, didn't stand up for his wife. He was too dependent on his mother, afraid of her wrath. He preferred to stay silent, hoping the conflict would resolve itself. On the wedding day, Sophia hoped everything would change. She believed that now, as Ryan's wife, Eleanor would accept her into the family. But her hopes were dashed. Even during the wedding celebration, Eleanor seized every opportunity to humiliate Sophia. She constantly emphasized who was in charge in the house and made it clear to Sophia that she was nobody here. "Don't forget, Sophia dear, who brought you into this world," she said when Sophia approached to congratulate her. "Be grateful that my son noticed you." Sophia stayed silent, trying not to respond to the provocations. She understood that any word from her could spark a scandal. She wanted the day to pass peacefully, without quarrels or offenses. But with each minute, the tension grew. Sophia felt more and more uncomfortable. Ryan saw that his wife was upset, but did nothing. He still feared contradicting his mother. Sophia felt alone and helpless. She realized she would have to fight for her happiness in this family. After the wedding, Sophia's life turned into a nightmare. Eleanor constantly interfered in their lives, controlling every step. She criticized Sophia for everything: how she managed the household, how she dressed, how she interacted with Ryan. Ryan still didn't defend his wife. He preferred to avoid conflicts, hoping things would settle over time. But the situation only worsened. Sophia felt more and more unhappy. She realized she needed to change something, or she would simply break. One day, Sophia learned she was pregnant. She was overjoyed by the news, hoping the birth of the child would change Eleanor's attitude toward her. She believed a grandmother couldn't help but love her grandchild. But here, too, her hopes were shattered. Eleanor reacted to the news of Sophia's pregnancy with suspicion. She accused Sophia of getting pregnant on purpose to tie Ryan to her and gain access to his money. "I always knew you were a gold digger," she said to Sophia. "You think that by having a child you can hold on to my son? You're wrong. I won't let you ruin his life." Sophia was shocked by what she heard. She couldn't believe Eleanor could be so cruel. She realized she would have to fight not only for her own happiness, but for her child's as well. Eleanor decided to celebrate her anniversary in grand style. A huge restaurant in the city center. Invited were all the elite, business partners, officials, longtime family friends. Sophia understood that at this party, she was the odd one out, an outsider among these polished and self-assured people. But she tried to hold herself with dignity, smiling at the guests, congratulating Eleanor, though each word came with effort. When they arrived at the restaurant, Eleanor, as if casually, held Sophia back at the entrance. "Remember, Sophia, dear," she hissed. Her voice dripped with undisguised disdain. "You're here only because of Ryan. Don't forget your place, and don't embarrass my family." Sophia stayed silent, only gripping her husband's hand tighter. Ryan looked away, avoiding her gaze. He never stood up for her, afraid to defy his mother. In the restaurant hall, an atmosphere of ostentatious merriment reigned. Loud music played. Waiters hurried between tables, offering guests exquisite appetizers and expensive drinks. Sophia felt uncomfortable, as if someone was constantly watching and judging her. She tried to smile, keep up conversations, but felt all her efforts were in vain. At the family table, the tension was especially acute. Eleanor sat at the head, surrounded by her inner circle. Ryan took a seat next to his mother. Sophia was given a spot at the edge, as if her presence was merely a formality. Throughout the evening, Eleanor seized every chance to jab at Sophia. She kept making humiliating comments about her modest origins, her lack of social graces, her supposed mercenary interests. "Sophia, dear, why so quiet? Entertain the guests. Show what Ryan has taught you," she said with feigned concern, but her voice held only mockery. At one point, Eleanor decided to escalate to open aggression. She demonstratively grabbed a napkin from the table and threw it at Sophia's face. "Wipe my shoes," she ordered, looking at her daughter-in-law with contempt. "They're dirty. And you're just sitting here idle anyway." Silence fell over the hall. The guests froze, awaiting Sophia's reaction. Ryan paled and lowered his eyes. He knew his mother was capable of anything, but even he hadn't expected this. Sophia looked at Eleanor. There was no fear or humiliation in her eyes, only cold determination. She slowly rose from her seat, picked up the napkin, and calmly approached her mother-in-law. She knelt down and began wiping her shoes. She did it slowly and thoroughly, as if performing the most ordinary task. A deathly silence hung in the hall. Sophia finished wiping the shoes and stood up. She straightened to her full height and looked at Eleanor. Fire burned in her eyes. "Is that all?" she asked calmly. Sophia slowly straightened up. She felt dozens of gazes on her, full of curiosity, surprise, and, truth be told, schadenfreude. Many expected her to burst into tears, run away, break down. But Sophia had no intention of giving them that spectacle. Inside her, rage boiled, but outwardly, she remained calm and composed. She took a deep breath, trying to steady the tremble in her hands. In her purse, lying on the neighboring chair, documents awaited their moment. Slowly but confidently, Sophia approached the chair and opened her bag. Pulling them out, she scanned the room with her gaze. Eleanor, seated at the head of the table, looked at her with undisguised hatred. Ryan seemed petrified. His eyes were full of fear and confusion. "I think it's time to clarify a few things," Sophia began. Her voice was steady and confident, despite the inner turmoil. "This evening, as you all could see, has been enlightening for me. I've understood a lot and made a decision." She opened the folder and pulled out several stapled sheets of paper. These were documents about Ryan's resignation from the family company. Sophia had arranged it in advance with his direct supervisor, someone Ryan trusted and who had long seen how Eleanor suppressed her son. He agreed to help Sophia, understanding it was the only way to free Ryan from his mother's control. Ryan, Sophia addressed her husband. "Here is your resignation statement, signed and notarized. As of today, you no longer work at your mother's company." A dead silence fell over the hall. No one could believe their ears. Eleanor seemed speechless. Her face flushed purple with rage, but she said nothing. Ryan sat as if paralyzed, staring at Sophia with an uncomprehending gaze. "Sophia, what are you doing?" he finally murmured. His voice trembled. "I'm doing what I should have done long ago," Sophia replied, not breaking eye contact. "I'm protecting myself and our child. I won't let him grow up in this atmosphere of humiliation, lies, and hypocrisy." She scanned the room, as if challenging them. "I'm leaving," Sophia announced, "and taking our child with me. I don't want him to see his father and mother humiliated and suppressed. I don't want him to grow up thinking that's normal." Sophia approached Ryan and placed the folder of documents on the table in front of him. "This is your chance, Ryan. she said quietly. "A chance to start a new life. The decision is yours." Eleanor froze, as if struck by lightning. Her face, usually haughty and impenetrable, twisted into a grimace of fury. In her eyes, which had radiated superiority, rage flared up that she could no longer contain. She stared at Sophia like her worst enemy, as if she had dared to encroach on the most sacred thing, her power. "What? What have you done?" she hissed, struggling to find words. Her voice shook with fury, betraying her inner turmoil. "You dared? You penniless wretch. Think you're in charge now?" Ryan stood thunderstruck. He looked at Sophia, then at his mother, trying to comprehend what was happening. Complete confusion filled his eyes. He was used to his mother making all decisions for him, directing his life, controlling every step. And suddenly, Sophia, quiet, modest Sophia, dared to go against her will, crossing out all his future plans. "Mom, he began, trying to say something, but the words stuck in his throat. He didn't know how to justify himself. To whom? To his mother, who always expected unquestioning obedience, or to his wife, who had finally shown strength and resolve. Sophia looked at Ryan with sadness and disappointment. She saw his confusion, his indecision, his fear of his mother. She understood he was still that boy Eleanor, kept on a short leash, and it pained her to realize she hadn't been able to awaken in him a real man capable of making decisions and taking responsibility. "No need to say anything, Ryan," Sophia said calmly, not breaking eye contact. "I've said everything. The choice is yours. Either you stay here in the golden cage, under Mom's skirt, or you come with me and start a new life. A life with room for respect, love, and freedom." Eleanor, seeing Ryan hesitate, tried to seize the initiative. "Don't listen to her, Ryan," she shouted, turning to her son. "She's just using you. She's a gold digger. She dreams of seizing our fortune. Don't let her destroy our family." Hysteria rang in her voice. She was ready for anything to keep her son under control. She understood that if Ryan left, she would lose not only him, but part of her power, part of herself. Sophia looked at Eleanor with contempt. "Do you really think I married Ryan for money?" she asked challengingly, staring into her eyes. "Are you so cynical that you don't believe in genuine feelings? I loved Ryan. I hoped to build a happy family with him, but I can't live in an atmosphere of lies, hypocrisy, and constant humiliation. I won't let you break me and my child. I'm leaving," she declared firmly. "I'm leaving to start a new life, a life without your tyranny, Eleanor, and I hope Ryan finds the strength to follow me." With those words, Sophia turned and headed for the exit. She walked slowly but confidently, without looking back. She knew her fate and her child's fate were being decided now. She believed she had made the right choice, that she had done what she had to. The guests parted before her, as if afraid to block her path. Some looked at her with sympathy, others with admiration. They saw in her a strong and independent woman who dared to challenge the system, who wasn't afraid to defy the all-powerful Eleanor. When Sophia reached the door, she paused for a moment and turned around. She looked at Ryan, still standing paralyzed, and hope shone in her eyes. Hope that he would decide after all, that he would choose her, that he would choose their future. "I'll be waiting for you," she said quietly and left the restaurant, leaving Ryan facing the hardest choice of his life. Eleanor, left alone amid her bewildered guests, felt the ground slipping from under her feet. She was used to controlling everything and everyone. She was used to her word being law. And suddenly, some girl she considered a nobody dared to ruin her plans, deprive her of power over her son. Rage overwhelmed her. She felt her world crumbling, that she was losing control. "She'll regret this," she hissed, clenching her fists. "I won't let her destroy my family. I'll crush her, no matter the cost." In that moment, a cold, calculating fire sparked in her eyes. She was ready to start a war to the death, and she had no intention of losing. Ryan stood rooted to the spot, unable to move. He watched Sophia leave, disappearing behind the door, and felt he was losing something vital, something he couldn't live without. He realized Sophia was right, that he had indeed lived in a golden cage under his mother's constant control. He realized he had never become a real man, never learned to make decisions and take responsibility for them. He heard his mother's screams, her accusations, her curses. He saw her anger, her fury, her despair, and he was terrified. He was terrified to go against her will. He was terrified to lose her support, her protection. Sophia stepped out of the restaurant, and the cool night air pleasantly burned her flushed face. Inside, everything still churned from what she'd endured, but outwardly, she felt an astonishing calm. It was as if a massive weight had lifted from her shoulders, one that had pressed on her for long months. She breathed deeply, inhaling the intoxicating scent of spring, and smiled. Freedom. That word now sounded like music to her. She got into a taxi and gave the address of a small rented apartment she had secured weeks ago, sensing such a moment would come. It was modest, but cozy, in a quiet neighborhood. Nothing like the luxury Eleanor was accustomed to. But for Sophia now, that didn't matter. The main thing was her personal space, a place where she could be herself and raise her child in love and respect. The whole ride, Sophia stared out the window at the flashing lights of the night city. Fragments of memories raced through her mind. The wedding full of fake smiles and contemptuous glances, Eleanor's endless reproaches and nitpicking, Ryan's silence, his inability to protect her, and now, finally, the end. She would no longer allow anyone to humiliate her. Sophia understood her long patience had been a mistake. She had naively believed love for Ryan and hope for a happy family could melt the ice in his mother's heart. But Eleanor proved an impenetrable wall for whom others' feelings meant nothing. She was used to controlling everything and wouldn't allow anyone to disrupt her plans. Arriving at the apartment, Sophia first took a shower. The hot water washed away not only the remnants of makeup and her party dress, but also the burden of grievances and disappointments. Emerging from the bathroom, she put on a soft robe and brewed herself a cup of herbal tea. She needed to calm down and gather her thoughts. She sat on the couch, cradling her belly. The child, that was the most important thing now. She had to be strong for him. He needed a loving and caring mother, not a tormented and humiliated woman. Her phone was silent. Ryan hadn't called. Sophia didn't know what to expect. She understood he was torn between her and his mother. Eleanor was surely doing everything possible to regain control over her son. She would pressure him, manipulate, threaten. Ryan had always been weak. Before her onslaught, he crumbled. Sophia harbored no illusions about his strength and will. She loved him, but she knew he had grown up in hothouse conditions and wasn't used to making independent decisions. Now he faced the most important choice of his life, and from it depended his future and their child's. Sophia glanced at the clock. It was late. She decided to postpone all thoughts until morning. Now she needed rest and strength. She drank her tea, turned off the light, and went to bed. Closing her eyes, she imagined her child's face. That thought warmed her heart and helped her fall asleep. In the morning, Sophia woke to bright sunlight filtering through the curtains. She got up, did some exercises, and prepared breakfast. She needed to make a plan. She knew Eleanor wouldn't leave her alone. She would seek revenge. Sophia had to be ready. First, she called her lawyer. She needed legal advice on divorce and child custody. She didn't want to demand anything from Ryan. She just needed freedom and the chance to raise her child in normal conditions. By lunchtime, there was a knock at the door. Sophia froze. She knew who it was. She took a deep breath and opened it. Ryan stood on the threshold. He looked lost and dejected. "Sophia, I need to talk to you," he said in a quiet voice. Sophia nodded silently and let him in. Ryan entered the room and sat on the couch. He was silent for a long time, not lifting his eyes. Sophia waited, not rushing him. She knew he needed time to gather his thoughts. "Mom, she's furious," he finally said. "Ryan," Sophia replied calmly. "I just left. I couldn't endure the humiliation anymore. I want my child to grow up in love and respect. If you want to be with us, you have to choose. You have to decide who's more important, me and your child, or your mother." Ryan fell silent again. Sophia saw him struggling with himself. She understood how hard it was for him. He had lived his whole life under his mother's wing. It was difficult for him to imagine life without her control. I don't know what to do," he whispered. "Ryan, you're an adult," Sophia said. "You have to make your own decisions. I won't force you into anything. I just want you to be happy. If your happiness is staying with your mother, I'll understand." Sophia stood and went to the window. She looked out at the street, at the passers-by hurrying about their business. She felt free and strong. She no longer feared the future. She knew she could handle anything. "Sophia." "Wait," Ryan said. He rose from the couch and approached her. I've decided. I want to be with you. I want to be a father to our child. I'm tired of Mom's control. I want to live my own life." Sophia turned to him. Tears welled in her eyes. She hugged Ryan. "I believe you," she whispered. "I believe you can become a worthy husband and father." But Sophia knew this was only the beginning. Many difficulties lay ahead. Eleanor wouldn't give up easily. She would fight for her son to the end. But Sophia was ready for that fight. She would no longer allow humiliation. She would protect her family. Ryan left, promising to return tomorrow. Sophia remained alone in the apartment. She sat on the couch and closed her eyes. She imagined how they would live together, raise the child, love each other. She believed it would work out. She felt happy. Sophia began a new life. She worked, took care of herself, and prepared for the child's birth. Ryan helped with household chores, read books to her, and shared his plans for the future. He got a job at a small software development company. He enjoyed what he did. He felt free and independent. Eleanor didn't leave them alone. She called Ryan every day, begging him to return, threatening him and Sophia. She tried to bribe them, offering money and property. But Ryan was adamant. He told her he loved Sophia and wanted to live his own life. Eleanor couldn't accept it. She decided to seek revenge. She began spreading rumors about Sophia, telling everyone she was a gold digger who had bewitched Ryan. She tried to turn all their acquaintances against Sophia. Sophia ignored it. She knew Eleanor was just trying to break her. She wouldn't let that happen. She was strong and confident. She knew the truth was on her side. Time passed. Sophia gave birth to a healthy and beautiful boy. They named him Michael. Ryan was crazy about his son. He spent all his free time with him. He bathed him, fed him, played with him. He was a real father. Sophia watched them and smiled. She felt happy. She knew they had made the right choice. They had built their life on love, respect, and freedom, and nothing could change that. But the story wasn't over. Eleanor hadn't given up. She was still plotting revenge. She waited for her moment, and that moment would surely come. Could Sophia protect her family? Could Ryan stand up to his mother? Time would tell. But one thing Sophia knew for sure. She would no longer allow humiliation. She would fight for her happiness to the end. All right, thanks for listening.